So I've made a lot of top 10 videos about acting Oscar nominations, but one thing I've never really talked about on this channel is the category the Academy sadly has long ignored: voice performances. Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the Awards Contender, and these are the top 10 voice performances that deserved Oscar nominations. Let's start with number 10, Eartha Kitt's The Emperor's New Groove.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
How frickin' hilarious is Eartha Kitt's in this Disney film from 2000? The Emperor's New Groove isn't often looked at as one of the best animated films of that era from Disney. When you look at the late 1980s to the early 2000s, we're thinking Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, maybe Tarzan. Emperor's New Groove was an interesting project in that it started as a film called Kingdom of the Sun, and it was more dramatic in tone. And then I think they were like halfway done, like they were very far along in production, and they rearranged the whole story. They kind of started from scratch for the most part to make it a more comedic film. And what we got in Emperor's New Groove, I just love. I love with my whole heart. That wacky story, that amazing cast, and Eartha Kitt as the villain, Yzma, is just on a level of her own, making this character so zany and memorable. I love the chemistry between Yzma and Kronk, voiced by Patrick Warburton. Eartha Kitt in this movie is voice acting perfection. Number 9, Scarlett Johansson, Her.
Well, you seem like a person, but you're just a voice in a computer.
I can understand how the limited perspective of an unartificial mind would perceive it that way. You'll get used to it.
So not every voice performance I'm going to talk about in this video is necessarily animation. Here we have a really excellent voice performance from Johansson in 2013's Her, written and directed by Spike Jonze, one of the best films of that year. I was so happy to see him win the Best Original Screenplay Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix is so dazzling in that movie of a man adrift in the potentially near future, where his main companion is an operating system named Samantha, voiced by Johansson. I believe Samantha Morton had originally voiced that character, and then Spike Jonze later decided on Johansson, which I do think makes sense. She has this voice that's very sultry, but also very kind and intelligent. By the second half of the movie, you understand why this character gravitates to her. I do think this was a voice performance deserving of an Oscar nomination, and if you didn't know, I think this is really cool. At the Critics' Choice Awards in early 2014, they gave Scarlett Johansson a Best Supporting Actress nomination for Her. That's awesome. We don't see that happen very often. Many awards voters look at voice performances as this other thing, as we'll talk about in this video. I've never believed that. I think voice performances, even though we're not seeing the person, is still just as valid an acting art form as anything else. And Johansson here is doing such beautiful work. Number 8, Eddie Murphy, Shrek.
You definitely need some Tic Tacs or something, because your breath stinks!
So like Scarlett Johansson got a Best Supporting Actress nomination at the Critics' Choice Awards for Her, Eddie Murphy got a BAFTA Award nomination in early 2002 in Best Supporting Actor for Shrek. Like, he got a BAFTA nomination for his voice work in Shrek from 2001. So frickin' cool. That has to be one of my favorite BAFTA nominations ever. Like, it took some chutzpah, let's be honest. The Academy has still not done this yet. They've never recognized a voice performance in any of their acting categories. One that would have delighted me, and I'm sure so many others, that would have aged really well, would have been a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination for Eddie Murphy in Shrek. Come on. He is just a constant, hilarious delight as Donkey in all of the movies, but especially that first one. There was something so exciting about meeting that character for the first time, having Eddie Murphy be the voice. was such impeccable casting. He just takes your breath away. He's so funny, so moving and memorable all the way through. What BAFTA did for this performance is just frickin' awesome. Number 7, James Earl Jones, the original Star Wars trilogy.
He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
What an iconic voice James Earl Jones has. Am I right? I mean, talk about a perfect candidate for voice acting. Obviously, a big one is his role of Mufasa in 1994's The Lion King, a film we're going to talk about in a moment. But if I were to give James Earl Jones an Oscar nomination in voice acting, I would choose his performance as Darth Vader in the Star Wars trilogy. He is so powerful and intimidating and menacing as that character, and when you hear the original person who was voicing the character, you can't help but laugh. Like, it doesn't work, but you bring in James Earl Jones and everything you need about that character is all in his voice. The arc of the character over those 3 original films is made all the more moving because of Jones and his performance. He just does spectacular work in those movies. I wish he could have been recognized, like come awards time with something. Now it gets tricky, like which movie would I have nominated him for? In Best Supporting Actor for A New Hope, Alec Guinness gets a nomination. So it's not like they're also going to give Jones a nomination there too. If I had to pick, I would have given Jones the Oscar nomination for voicing Darth Vader for The Empire Strikes Back from 1980. I think that's the strongest, most impactful arc we get of the character in any of the 3 movies. Like the I'm Your Father scene. Does that scene work without Jones? With some other actor? No. The participation of James Earl Jones in those initial movies was crucial to their success. He is so good, so chilling as Darth Vader, a truly all-timer performance. Number 6, Jeremy Irons' The Lion King.
You're so weird.
You have no idea.
So here is another fabulous voice. Jeremy Irons was made to play villains in animated films, right? I'm so happy somebody recognized that reality by the time we got to 1994's The Lion King. Jeremy Irons as Scar. I mean, talk about perfection. I cannot imagine anyone else voicing that character, especially not in the creepy, disturbing, but also kind of darkly funny way he encompasses this ambitious lion from beginning to end. At the beginning, I don't know about you, I like Scar. For a few minutes, he's droll, he's cracking jokes, he's clearly the black sheep of that family, so you identify with him a little. And then after he does the unthinkable, then he is terrifying. And what Jeremy Irons brings to this character is as important as what he brought to Dead Ringers, is as important as what he brought to Reversal of Fortune from 1990, which earned him the Best Actor Oscar trophy. I'm perplexed to this day why The Lion King didn't get a Best Picture nomination that year over Quiz Show or 4 Weddings and a Funeral. It was such a hit film. It was one of Disney's best in their many decades of animation. And I still think Jeremy Irons for The Lion King would have made an amazing Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination. Number 5, Ellen DeGeneres, Finding Nemo.
Will you quit it?
What?
Trying to swim here. What, the ocean isn't big enough for you or something like that?
I remember walking out of Finding Nemo in May 2003 thinking, okay, that might get an Oscar nomination. I know not a single voice performance has ever been recognized by the Academy, but what Ellen DeGeneres does as Dory in Finding Nemo is just so frickin' memorable, entertaining, hilarious, every step of the way. Again, another excellent match of performer to character. She is Dory, right? Ellen DeGeneres popped up in a few movies throughout the years. She's most well known for her talk show, of course, but in film, the one sensational performance she gave was in 2003's Finding Nemo. Albert Brooks is also fantastic as Marlin. They play off each other so well. but there's something about DeGeneres' voice acting work as Dory in that original film I have always loved to this day. She just goes for it as that fish with short-term memory loss, whose thoughts seemingly change with every turn of her head. Like, we needed a very erratic voice performance to play Dory, and Ellen DeGeneres was the right person. I know she has hosted the show twice, but I also think she should have received an Oscar nomination for Finding Nemo. Number 4, Kathleen Turner, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I just saved your life and you still don't trust me?
I don't trust anybody or anything.
Not even your own eyes?
So when we think about Kathleen Turner, I don't know if voice acting is what we go to first. I always think about Romancing the Stone and The War of the Roses, her wonderful Oscar-nominated performance in Peggy Sue Got Married. But in the history of voice acting in the movies, I do think one of the most important, iconic representations of this acting art form was Turner as Jessica Rabbit in Robert Zemeckis' 1988 film. There is so much dazzling work being done in that movie. I mean, talk about ahead of its time. I remember seeing that movie in a theater when I was 4 years old, and I could not believe my eyes or my ears. It was so imaginative, so inventive, so scary. Like, Christopher Lloyd at the end of that movie was about the scariest thing I'd ever seen at 4 years old. Bob Hoskins is incredible in it. He would have made an excellent Best Actor Oscar nomination. And then Kathleen Turner as Jessica Rabbit. I mean, talk about sultry, the word I use talking about Scarlett Johansson's voice. Like, the husky, sultry voice of Kathleen Turner was so well paired for Jessica Rabbit. Obviously, Robert Zemeckis had worked with Turner on Romancing the Stone, so he knew her acting talent, he knew her voice, and so she must have been at the top of his list to play Jessica Rabbit, who everybody fawns over, is in love with, whether you're animated or live action. Like, you have a thing for Jessica Rabbit, and I don't think that character would have come off in the way she does without Kathleen Turner's unusual, memorable voice. This actress in this movie is a showstopper. Number 3, Robin Williams, Aladdin.
Hello, Aladdin. Nice to have you on the show. Can we call you Al, or maybe just Din? Or how about Laddie?
What is there to say about this performance? It is one of my favorite performances in the movies ever. Animation, live action, doesn't matter to me. What Robin Williams brings to the genie in 1992's Aladdin was totally spectacular. I mean, there is a reason I saw that film 5 times in the theater. 5 times at 8 years old. I could not get enough of the film. I couldn't get enough of Robin Williams as the genie. The way he jumps around into so many different personalities, like every 5 seconds, it happens so quickly, you can't keep up as the viewer. Like, you have to watch Aladdin more than once to see all the mini impressions, all of those jokes. He is so frickin' funny in this movie. And he couldn't be denied at the beginning of award season because the Golden Globes gave him a special trophy for his voice work in Aladdin.
Accepting for Mr. Williams will be Mother Teresa.
It is very wonderful for him.
Mother Teresa, is there anything you want?
I want to direct.
Okay.
So because of that trophy, you might think maybe the Academy would give him something, an Oscar nomination in supporting actor, or a special prize. They didn't, and they missed the ball. Because what the late great Robin Williams did as the genie in Aladdin is 1 in a million. Number 2, Andy Serkis, The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Master's my friend. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
So, in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have expected anything to happen at the Oscars for Ellen DeGeneres in Finding Nemo, because the year before, Andy Serkis did not get a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination for playing Gollum in The Two Towers. I mean, that truly was one of the best performances in the movies in 2002. Andy Serkis as Gollum completely blew our minds. Like, we had never really seen a visual effect come to life in such a way we truly believe he's there interacting with the other characters, interacting with Frodo and Sam in their mini scenes together. Andy Serkis is so brilliant in these movies, I would say especially Two Towers, that he should have had some awards attention. Come on. He got a Best Supporting Actor nomination from the Chicago Film Critics, which is cool. And he got into the ensemble category at SAG, which he won in early 2004 for The Return of the King. But there should have been more for Andy Serkis on the awards front individually, especially for Two Towers. In this case, Andy Serkis is playing Gollum through both voice and body. Like, he is moving his entire body, becoming this character. Any excuse Academy members might have had about Robin Williams in Aladdin or Kathleen Turner in Who Framed Roger Rabbit by thinking, well, they're just in an air-conditioned room talking into a microphone. Like what Andy Serkis is doing for The Lord of the Rings, and what he's done in so many movies thereafter, is giving us a fully realized physical and emotional performance. And it sucks. It sucks that the Academy has still not recognized a performance like this, whether it's mocap and the person is using their entire body, or it's a voice performance where they are standing behind a podium. Honestly, it shouldn't matter. These are great performances, regardless of whether we see them or not, whether it's just the voice or whatever. I think many of these performances I'm talking about in this video deserved Academy attention. And Andy Serkis for playing Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, like, he should have an Oscar nomination. And finally, that takes me to my number one choice. This is a tie. A tie between two of my all-time favorite voice performances. And you know what? It's the same person. My number one choice is Eleanor Audley, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty.
Girls, girls. That's quite enough.
This is my favorite voice in animation. It always has been, it always will be. What Eleanor frickin' Audley brought to her two iconic villain roles in 1950's Cinderella and 1959 Sleeping Beauty is unlike anything in the history of this medium. As Lady Tremaine in Cinderella, she is darkly sinister. She creates the scariest and most memorable iteration of the wicked stepmother. And then 9 years later, as Maleficent, she had not lost her touch. She is in Sleeping Beauty so very creepy, you cannot keep your eyes off of her. Both of these characters pop off the screen from a visual standpoint. I mean, just the look of these two women is instantly iconic. And then you cast Eleanor Audley as the voice, and you just have perfection. What a stunning voice this actress had. Thank God it was put to good use as both Lady Tremaine and Maleficent. These characters and these movies would not be the same, would not have the haunting power they still do today without Eleanor Audley. She is, in my mind, the number one reason why these two villainous characters endure after all of these decades, and she is my number one pick for the two voice performances that most deserved Oscar nominations. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below what are your picks for the best voice performances in the movies that deserved Oscar nominations. Is there anyone I left off the list? We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.